Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a guided tour around the property. So I should have the video posted, or soon we'll have the video posted of the map. So this is kind of the intersection where to the left is the piece that goes across the property, and then in front of me is the piece that goes around to the other side of the pond and then connects back to the south trail. So I'll start by making a left and going down this trail. So this is the original one that we did, kind of the first take, and then we've expanded upon it. So we're here at the beginning of August, so everything is very grown up right now. You notice, like in front of us, we have a couple of goal posts. So these are where we hang our pieces of steel. So at different yardages for long range activities. So that was the 400. This is the 500 here, so every now and then reference this because it's kind of an open spot. It's a little bit bigger. Then we take this path and it comes down this hill. And we turn and go over this here, so every now and then whenever it gets wet, this will hold water. But we just built a raised road over that. Okay, in front of me is the 700, but the main path deviates down to the left. So now we're coming up on the 800. And then to the left here is where the food plot trail goes back around to meet the north property line, and where the little pond is, so that goes back around that direction. But we'll stay on the main road and get back to the back corner. This hill. Okay, and in front of me here is the 1000. Okay, so this was kind of the point we wanted to get to for our long range activities, and then the path past this is just for being able to get around the property. So the other path had to be line of sight. Whereas everything past this doesn't have to be, so there may be some more jogs in it. Then we get back around to this corner. So this is the closest we can get to the property line, the corner. So off to the left, another, I don't know, 100 yards or so is where the property corner is, and there's a post there to the left, but it's gotten overgrown. But our main trail goes to the right, and the property line is right about the left edge of the trail here, and then deviates down that hill to the bottom. So this, you'll notice a lot of the map is old coal ground, and a lot of the mining was done east and west. Well, this is one of the areas where it was done north and south, so we picked the top of this ridge to follow it across. And we picked this one because it's the closest ridge we could get and still be on the 100 acres. A couple of trees there we have to deviate around, and we may eventually take those out, but for now that's enough that we can get the otter through. Okay, so we had to create this slope down, and then everything here was already opened up a little bit. So the neighbor to the left here had their property, had it timbered at some point, and had this trail built. So we expanded it so that it's fully on our side of the property line. And you can see up here there's a blue pole, so that's one of ours. So you can see where the property line is, right with that tree. So we built a trail, and you can see there was one kind of on the left-hand side. We built the one on the right-hand side so that we could get around and be fully on our property. Okay, so the property line is actually one ridge over, but it's kind of splits the bottom of the next ridge. So we went ahead and turned here. You can see the orange ribbons along as I drive back. That's the indicators I used to plot this path. So we walked it before all the growth happened, and then went back through and then started pushing back with the tractor. So this is the beginning of the south trail. So we're at the south edge of the property, and we are at the back corner. So that would be the southeast corner of the property, and we're headed back to the west. Okay, so we got this cleared out through here. See, there's another orange ribbon. Dad's currently working on the trail a little bit, so I'm gonna have to wait for him to let me by. He's working on neatening up the path a little bit. Here we have a little bit of a jog and had to fill in, so we have this kind of skinnier bit here, but he's working on getting this built up a little bit. Okay, so I don't think I've shown you guys what we had done since last time. But we did get this tree out of here. So it opens this up very nicely. He's able to get both of these stumps out. So there's a cherry stump and a dead stump here, so got that opened up. Got a cut in the woods to the right. And just made this a nicer path than what it was. Still has a little bit of lean to it, but that's not too bad. Okay, so going around the corner here. So if you remember looking at the map, you saw there's a point where we get pretty close going on the south trail to the property corner, so we were one ridge over. Well, we've kind of hopped on top of the ridge that it's right next to, and there's a property corner just at the bottom of the ravine to my left. So we walked through right after the last were put up and put up fence posts for all of those. And then Indiana has the purple paint law, so we put purple paint on those and some white so they stick out. And then some of the newer ones we've been going through and putting blue on because the blue sticks out in nature, so they're a lot easier to spot. Okay, so continuing on the south trail here. So we were going to stick on top of this ridge, but found that there is a lot of big trees up there that we didn't want to have to take out for this, so we opted to just eat into the hillside and put the dirt down. So you can see all this has been kind of built partly on the hillside and partly on fill. Okay, so this point right here, if you watch the previous videos, is where the last ribbon was. So this was kind of our goal to get to, because we had a bit of a trail from this point back around, but it wasn't very established. It was one of the very first ones we had done, so kind of our path standards have changed since then, as far as we didn't have the auto originally, so it was mostly can we get the tractor through, and then just walking it. So our standards for what the path should be have, greatly expanded, and kind of, seen from mistakes, what works and what doesn't work. So at this point, we used to have a little bit of a jog here. You straighten all this out. You also widen this out quite a bit so that if there's any of the dirt that slims off the left-hand side, it doesn't block the trail. Took some dirt from here and put it down in this hole. Took and did a little bit of modifying here. So at this point, if you've watched the previous video, is where the bees were. So they have moved on, thankfully, so those ground bees are no longer there. So this is kind of a notable spot. So our trail used to go down this hill, kind of in front of me, and go along the bottom of that. Well, we kept having trees fall in, and a lot of debris to where it became unpassable. So with the 62 a couple weeks ago, we went through and we built this. So it's now been all graded out and nice, but having some of the bigger trees and stuff in here, it was nice having the 62 and the grapple to be able to get all this opened up. So then this has been cut down a lot. So whenever we originally did it with the 62, we didn't cut it down this much. Partly because it's just not as good at kind of getting that finished grade. So we did it so we could get over it, and then with the little tractor started going through, cut this down so it's not quite as steep a hill. So this brings us back around to under the power lines. We have these hills here that will eventually work on flattening off. The hill in front of me will actually push down into the ravine to the right. So there's a pretty big hole there. We'll widen all this path out. This is a really nice lookout over the pond. So here you can see the majority of it. We have quite a bit of duckweed that is growing over. It's gotten pretty hot and a little stagnant today, so we have that, but it's a nice overlook. And you have the power poles here. So you have the power pole on this side, and then the one just on the other side. That's where we park the truck and everything. So to give you a little bit of perspective. So, a lot of the path is going around the pond. And I guess it's worth noting that the original path that went around the pond was here. So it's not something that we had to create originally. So here's where the spring is that constantly feeds the pond. So even right now, when we haven't gotten rain in a few weeks, there's a small trickle of water still going in. Gotten this all widened down. last week is where we took dirt from the right hand side and put it down in this hole. So we built all this up so that we're not going down into this bottom. So we built it up two, maybe 3 feet. And we're popping back out to where I said if you go straight, you end up going around. So that's kind of the complete path around. So 99% of the trails we've had to create from a lot of the rolling hills that were the old coal ground. So a lot of it, just looks like if you've watched the map video, you can see all the mining that they did and how they just left rows, and the reclamation in the 1940s wasn't it what it is now. So by today's standards, they have to do a lot more to put the land back better than it was, whereas at that time it wasn't really a thing. And then we have this little cutout here where you can kind of see the pond. Like I said, we have quite a bit of the dead stuff on top, so it's not quite as pretty, but it is a nice spot where you can drive out or be right next to the water. So that is a complete path. So this is also where we have the green hole. So obviously it's getting pretty full, and we just filled it up, so it'll settle back down a little bit. But that is a complete path of the trails we have at the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. Hopefully, watching this in conjunction with the map video will kind of give you a little bit better perspective of the property and kind of how we have everything laid out currently. So eventually we'll do more trails and everything. Right now we're just kind of expanding upon the trails that we have, making them a little bit nicer, and kind of fixing spots where originally we were just trying to get through. Now we can kind of take more time and get things to where they're a little bit smoother and widened out. So again, hope that this was beneficial to kind of understand how our trails are laid out and kind of talk through the property as I drive around. So thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time.